Does a €126 car rental quote turn into an over €300 car rental? Today, I'm going to show you exactly how that happens. Welcome to another Traveling in Ireland Quick Tips episode, where I share one piece of advice to help you make the most of your Ireland vacation. I'm Jody Halstead, Ireland Travel Advisor and host of the Traveling in Ireland podcast. This is episode 2 of my Car Rental in Ireland series, where I'm diving into the fees and hidden costs that can really add up when you rent a car. Some of these are going to be predictable, and others might catch you by surprise. But after this installment, you're going to know what to watch for when you're renting a car, what you can skip, and what you really should get. To show you these examples today, I'm going to be using my travel partner, Irish Car Rentals. And if you use my special link, IrelandFamilyVacations.com/ICR, you can save 10% on your car rental. Okay, so we are on the Irish Car Rentals website, and I have chosen Dublin Airport. So we have a rental starting on October 20th, ending on the 28th, and we are just going to hit search. Now, to keep everything as straight as possible, we're going to be looking at the Ford Focus, because the Ford Focus comes in a manual, it comes in an automatic, and it comes in a diesel, so it makes it really easy for us to see the difference. Now, in episode 1, we talked about the price difference between manual and automatic vehicles, so you're going to see that as we go through here. So just for our baseline, the Ford Focus for 8 days as a manual is €91.49. The Ford Focus as a diesel is $98.69, and the Ford Focus as an automatic is $126.91. So same vehicle, just a little bit of difference, but you can already see where some of the different pricing comes in. So if you rent a diesel vehicle, it's going to increase the rental costs, but you might save money on fuel. Now, the next thing we want to look at before we jump into actually looking at the other additions is that you might have a one-way rental cost. The one thing I've noticed with Irish Car Rentals is if you're going from, let's say, Dublin Airport to Shannon Airport or Dublin Airport to Cork Airport, I haven't noticed any one-way costs airport to airport. However, if you are going, like, say, Dublin to Waterford, or Dublin to Galway City. Those aren't airport sites. They have very limited hours, and I have noticed one-way charges coming in on those. Another thing you might notice is car rental taxes. Now, some companies will build this into the rental cost, some won't, so it's really worth keeping an eye on that as well. All right, moving on in, we are going to utilize the Ford Focus automatic vehicle as our base model. We are starting with €126.91 as our price. The first thing that's going to add a really large amount to your fee is insurance coverage. Now, I'm going to dig deep into insurance coverage in the next episode just because there is quite a little bit to it, including credit card coverage, third-party or travel insurance coverage, and SCDW coverage, or excess coverage, which is what you will see here at €24 a day. Now, I prefer personally the full coverage added into my billing, so that's what I'm going to choose. Again, we're going to go into it in excess in the next episode. Other things that can add into your bill. If you are traveling with children and need to get a baby seat or a booster seat, that's going to add a little bit. You can opt to add a GPS to your vehicle. Personally, I don't think this is necessary. Google Maps works very well in Ireland. Apple Maps works, Waze works. So as long as you have a Wi-Fi or data connection, you will be able to use those maps. And personally, I've never had a problem with them. So I don't think there's any need for a GPS. But if you want a little more information on that, go down into the show notes, and I'll have an article about it linked there. You have an additional driver fee, so if you are traveling with a partner, or maybe there's 4 or 5 of you traveling together and somebody else is going to drive, you will have a fee for the driver. Cancellation coverage, this is just if you're canceling last minute. I don't personally think it's necessary. Usually if you're canceling a vehicle, you know well enough in advance that you don't need to pay for it. That said, it's super cheap, so if there's a possibility you could cancel, it doesn't cost that much. And then we see the premium protection cover that I've added there. A few more fees that may pop up, and you're going to probably get these at the counter when you are picking up your keys. So you're going to be offered refueling. So the fuel policy, if you pick the vehicle up full, you return it full. If you would rather not do that and return the car in empty, you can prepay the fueling at a base rate and return the car empty. Less hassle, less stress. When I return to Dublin Airport, I usually do the refueling option because I hate the gas station. The closest one to Dublin Airport I think is a nightmare to get in and out of personally, and I don't want that stress. But if I'm dropping off at Shannon, I'll refuel before I get there. So just kind of depends on where I am. But I do like that refueling option. Just one less thing for me to worry about as I'm getting ready to leave. If you are under 25, it's very difficult to rent a car. Irish Car Rentals, I know, does not rent to people under 25. The only company that I do know that rents to people who are under 25 is Sixt, S-I-X-T, and they charge a hefty fee for that privilege. If you're over 75, you may also run into a fee. Irish Car Rentals doesn't have a senior excess, but I know that there are companies that do. I have a full article on renting a car if you are over 70 on my website. It will be linked in the show notes. So if that is you, definitely check that out because I have researched all the car rental companies for their senior policies, which ones require paperwork, which ones don't, and what the age cutoff is if there is one. Another thing that you might be offered when you are up at the rental desk is a toll tag. Now this is one of those things that sits in the windshield and you just flick it open to use it so you can just drive right through the toll booths. I personally don't find it to be necessary in Ireland. The costs that I've seen on that are usually around €25 for the limit of like a week-long trip. And personally, I think the most I've ever paid on tolls in like a 6-week period when I was there was around 10 or 12 euro. I just don't think the toll tag use is worth the cost. But I do have an article on my site that outlines all the toll locations in Ireland and the prices for each. And so if you want to check that and your route, you can decide if a toll tag is worth it, and you'll be prepared when you arrive to pick up your keys. You may find that some rental companies will charge you for using your own insurance, like a credit card insurance or bringing a third-party insurance. Irish Car Rentals does not, but I have heard that there are other companies that do. So that's something to be aware of. I've not heard that it's a large charge, but it's just, I've heard about it, not something that I have personally experienced. And then you also might find airport surcharges showing up. Usually you see an airport surcharge when you are getting your car as part of a vacation package. So you've got an airfare, car rental, and accommodations. That airport surcharge is usually not in that package, so you might have that cost when you go to pick up your car. Mileage limits are another thing that you might want to check. Most Ireland rentals are unlimited mileage, but you want to verify that in the fine print and the terms and conditions, which we're going to do in just a minute. If you are picking up or dropping off your car at a non-airport location, you definitely want to be aware of the opening hours. And if you are returning outside of those hours, there may be a fee for that if you are even allowed to return that way. And then another thing to remember is that any traffic, parking, or toll violations are going to be sent to the rental company. They will use your credit card to pay for those. and then there will be an administration fee on top of that. So digging into that, let's go into the terms and conditions. All right, we are going to go to the full terms and conditions. Now, I like Irish Car Rentals because they make it very easy to find and understand the terms and conditions. I have dug through every car rental company, and I'll be honest, not all of them make it this easy. But I highly recommend that you do dig through them if you're using especially like Hertz or Avis or Budget, even Enterprise. Dig through the terms and conditions so you know exactly what you're getting and what you can expect. So we talked about the age policy for cars, the driving license policy. Your driver's license has to be full, valid, in date. You do not, so this is important, UK, US, Canadian, Australian, New Zealand, and EU member states are not required to supply an international driving permit. So this is going to be outlined right in the terms and conditions. So important to note that. Vehicle excess, that is the insurance that I chose near the beginning. We're going to cover that more in the next episode. What forms of payment are accepted? So that's important. Like this one, they do accept Discover Card. Interestingly enough, Discover Card is not going to be accepted in Ireland itself. So, but it will be accepted here. And also debit cards can be accepted for the excess, but not to rent the car. So knowing the payment options is important. The mileage policy, so you can see here that unlimited mileage for 35 days or less. If it's more than 35 days, there is a mileage allowance, and then you will pay for the excess mileage at a per mile basis. Can I take the car abroad? This is a question that is asked often. So we talked about that Northern Ireland fee. It's listed here at $34.05 a rental. And it says you cannot, under any circumstances, take the car off of the island of Ireland. If you do so, you will be fined, and if anything happens to it, you will not have any insurance, so you will be 100% liable for anything that happens. It covers your speeding and your fines, and there's your admin fee that you will pay in excess. It says that the VAT, which is the value-added tax or tax, is included in your rate, so there isn't anything extra there. And more information and customer service. So those are all of the fees, and let's take a look. So we went from a €126.91 rental to a €318.91 rental. So that's how that really reasonable quote that you start with can nearly triple super easily when you rent a car in Ireland. So now that you know about those fees and charges, in the next installment we are going to dive into the most confusing part of rental cars in Ireland, and that's the insurance. We're going to walk through the different types of coverage that are available to you, what they each mean, the benefits and the limitations of each, and hopefully it'll help you determine what the best option is for you. Thanks so much for joining me. Slán for now.